Hello, my name is Mike Ross. I'm a professional mixed martial artist. I used to train at Ivan Salaverry MMA in downtown Seattle next to the Space Needle. The reason I'm no longer training at this fight club is because I broke a young man's neck in an advanced mixed martial arts class designed by professional for professional MMA fighters. Period. I knew nothing about Joe Briggs, the plaintiff in this case, prior to this accident. I saw him in the front office waiting to get orientated on 12/14 of 2016. He was sitting next to Ivan's secretary, Mr. Brandon Thayer. I asked Joe Briggs if he would be training in the advanced mixed martial arts class today and if he was a pro fighter. He said yes, and he met me out in the red room to practice on his own accord. We warmed up and began to wrestle. I warned Joe Briggs 2 times he was exposing his back to me. If you're not facing me, you can't see me, I said. Joe responded by saying, whatever, nigga. I don't use the N word. I was raised in a nice town in Michigan. It has its problems, but the good outweighs the bad. So, experiencing situations like this where people say racist stuff, I kind of know how to handle it. So I wasn't even mad at Joe Briggs because he's black, and if you're going to call me a nigga, I can't ask for a better environment than a dojo. Him saying this assured me he knew what he was doing. We wrestled again. He gave me his back. I performed a reverse hip toss on him from behind. Now Joe, falls on his neck because he doesn't know how to land a fall. And the reason why he doesn't know how to do this is because he's not a professional MMA fighter. He was an amateur fighter with no judo, wrestling, submission grappling, or Brazilian jiu-jitsu skills, which I all have. Those are 4 crucial skills that you need to know in submission grappling class, especially when that is the main focus of that class. There's no striking in submission grappling class. And this guy was supposedly a professional kickboxer. So he can't even use the tools that he's good at in this class. Therefore, he's worse than an amateur because he's using kickboxing technique in a submissions class. That's like using brain surgery when you're supposed to provide legal services. So, I've been training at Ivan's for a total of 10 years. I spent my whole amateur career there and my whole pro career there. There's no way Ivan should have let that young man participate in a class without assessing his skill. When I tossed Joe Briggs, I noticed he was going to fall on his neck wrong. So instead of slamming his neck harder into the mat, I veered off to the right, not to put any more added pressure on his spine. I believe me doing this saved his life. I usually follow it up with a slam to the solar plex area to knock that air out of my opponent so they won't get up. But if I had added pressure to his neck, he either would have been paralyzed or he would have died. I weigh, 200 pounds. I can bench like over 350 pounds. It only takes 50 pounds of pressure to snap a vertebrae. If struck properly, it could cause severe damage or death. I've learned these in professional mixed martial arts videos and tutorials that I've studied online and on TV or wherever. So, and this is something I train my brain into learning. And I doubt that Mr. Briggs has got this type of discipline. Mr. Briggs got back up after the fact that I did this to him, tried to play it off like he really didn't get hurt, and continued to practice. But after about 5 minutes, he realized that he was really hurt, and he left with his girlfriend. I didn't think anything of the situation until the next couple of days. I was contacted later that week that Mr. Briggs attempted to file criminal charges against me for making him look like the amateur he really is and will ever be. The cop said he had no crime was committed against him, and told him to pursue charges civilly. Well, since Ivan and his secretary Brandon Thayer failed to properly assess Mr. Briggs' skill level and to get him to sign the liability waiver that everybody must sign in every MMA gym across America to forgive any type of injuries that might happen to a member, so the gym doesn't get sued. For some reason, Ivan forgot to do that. It's not my responsibility for Ivan to manage his business. That's not what I'm there for. I'm an independent contractor who uses Ivan's skills, his coaching skills, to further my MMA career. I listen to what he tells me in the cage and in practice. That's it. I'm an agent by law under the Washington State government, stating that I'm associated with Ivan Salaverry, but I am not an employee of Ivan Salaverry. I'm not a slave of Ivan Salaverry. And he looks at me as a slave, and that's the only reason why he thinks that he can get away with this, obviously. So, the cop said he had no crime committed against him, so he went about it, civilly. And, since Ivan, didn't do his due diligence and he was neglectful and in dealing with Mr. Briggs, he that's what he did. He was able to sue Ivan civilly. Okay, it's not my responsibility to check out Ivan's potential members at the gym. It's not my function as an agent at Ivan Salaverry MMA. It's literally and specifically Brandon Thayer's responsibility to orientate all new members. And it's Ivan's responsibility too, as the gym owner. Brandon Thayer is the head secretary who checks everybody in. He didn't check Joe Briggs in. That's his job, not my job. I'm a member like anybody there. I just train professionally as an independent contractor out of the gym. I am not an employee. It is not my function to monitor Ivan's members. It's Ivan's function to do that. I am not the coach. Okay? My goal in practice and my goal in the cage is to stop my opponent from potentially trying to kill or hurt me. At the same time, I have to be aware not to deviate from the course curriculum, meaning if we're wrestling, I can't all of a sudden start kicking or punching. Or if somebody's learning a drill, I can't just all of a sudden body slam them out of the blue when that's not what was the specific design of the course. You learn the drills and you learn technique in the beginner and the intermediate classes. In the mixed martial arts advanced classes, you execute what you learn in those classes. That's why it's called advanced. Advanced mixed martial arts means high level training. If there's high level training in a mixed martial arts class, I can guarantee you there's going to be some serious contact, and that's obvious. Maybe if Joe Briggs had received a text message that I got, which indicated that I was invited to this practice, he might have known what he was getting himself into. But since he didn't get the text message that described the type of class that he was going to be involved in, he had no idea what he was doing. Again, that's not my fault. Ivan should have sent him a text message. Never did. I got that text message. I got a text message inviting me to the class. I got a text message telling me exactly who was going to be there and what to expect. And it said nothing about Joe Briggs being there or any new member joining the team. So the only thing impromptu about this class that Mr. Joe Briggs said this was an impromptu session designed to be tailored around him so he could catch up and learn what we were doing. No, that's not how the class is designed. If you want to learn what we're doing, you need to start in the beginner's class. You don't start in the advanced class. It was not an impromptu class. It seemed impromptu to you because you didn't know what you were doing. If I had never been to a class before and I wasn't a professional MMA class and I was doing some shit that I never learned before in my life, it would seem pretty impromptu to me too. But it wasn't. It was something that I've been doing pretty much every other day for the last 10 years. So I knew what was going on in this class and he didn't. Again, that's not my fault. He told me he was a professional. And as a professional, I assume that you're training just as hard or as hard as I am. Okay? Obviously, he's not a professional. Okay. Now, anyway. Now, this is pretty much what happened, like how he got hurt. Like my goal in practice, as I said, my goal in the cage is to stop my opponent from potentially trying to kill or hurt me. At the same time, I have to be aware not to deviate from the course curriculum, meaning, if we're wrestling, we're only wrestling. If we're kickboxing, we're only kickboxing. If we're doing everything, I can't bring a gun to practice and shoot somebody in the chest after they fuck me up. That's going outside the course curriculum. Even though what we do is violent, you can't decide, oh, since I got my ass whooped, I'm going to do something that's outside of the rules of the guideline, okay? Nobody's stupid enough to do that. I'm a professional. I know better enough not to do people like that. I've never done anything like that in my entire life, and Mr. Briggs is trying to say that I did. Mr. Briggs says he was invited to this class. That's a lie. He was not. Like I said, he didn't get a text message. So Mr. Briggs crashed this class, meaning he was uninvited. He was unplanned. He was the impromptu one. And then he crashes an MMA class, just joins because he just thinks he's all that, and he gets his neck broken. And now he's mad at me because he didn't know what he was doing. He participated in the class he wasn't prepared for. He described the class as an impromptu, and he thought we were there specifically to teach his dumb ass how to fight. In a pro MMA practice, you don't get taught how to fight. You already know how to fight. You're just practicing what you're going to do in a fight with the stuff you already know. Okay? If you want to practice or you want to learn how to fight, Joe, then you need to take your stupid ass to the beginner's class, to the intermediate classes or something like that. You execute what you learn in those classes in the advanced class curriculum, which is explained, it's in the schedule. Like, it's just common sense. If you got no skill in something and you decide that you want to, if I've never jumped out of an airplane before and I just say, you know what, I've seen this on TV, I know how to do this shit, I don't need to take no class, I don't need to sign no waiver, I'm just jumping out that airplane, I don't give a fuck. That's basically what Joe Briggs did. He jumped out of an airplane with no training, no parachute, and now he wants to be paid for being stupid. Okay. Now, Joe Briggs has the audacity to imply that, he was learning a move that Ivan was teaching him in this class, and all of a sudden, after 10 years, I went crazy and suplexed him out of nowhere while he was trying to learn something, breaking his neck. Okay, first of all, you can't get your neck broken from a suplex. That's the move that he said that I did to him in the summons. A bear to back belly suplex, meaning I got him from behind and I suplexed him. That's not the move that I did to him. Because you fall on the back of your neck. And, I'm a professional. I know how body mechanics work. Never in the history of contact sports has anyone got their neck broken from a suplex. You fall on the back of your neck. The worst that could happen is a concussion. Joe Briggs got his neck broken because he came after me. I spin him around 180 degrees, did my reverse back hip toss move on him, and he broke his neck because he has no tumbling skills. Gymnastics is a big part of mixed martial arts. He didn't learn how to fall. Just like cheerleaders get tossed, if they don't rotate correctly, they land violently and they get hurt. This situation is no different. I tossed Joe Briggs. He freaked out in the air while he was upside down, legs flailing everywhere because he didn't know what to do or where to go because of his lack of training. I had no idea he was stupid. I never met him before this incident and took him seriously as a professional, especially since Ivan Salaverry let him participate with us. Ivan Salaverry was right there as this was happening. Anytime Ivan Salaverry could have stopped the practice and said, hey, I don't think this guy's ready. He's going to get hurt. You need to chill out. But no, Ivan didn't care. He just let the guy continue to train with me for whatever reason. And Ivan actually knew this guy before I did. He knew about this gentleman or whatever, this so-called professional fighter. Okay? I had no idea Joe Briggs was a simple Negro. I would have played patty cake with him, but he told me he was a professional, so I treated him like a professional. Now, in regards to Ivan Salaverry, not only did this piece of crap not do his job by verifying Joe Briggs' skill level and covering his own ass by getting him to sign the limited liability waiver, why would you not have why would he not sign the waiver as soon as he just walked into the fucking place? It's because Ivan doesn't take his business seriously. The place is understaffed, and basically Mr. Briggs snuck by the secretary because the secretary was overwhelmed because there's a whole bunch of people there that he has to manage. Ivan's got 2 people managing 30 people, maybe sometimes 50 people at a time at his gym. Okay? He needs to invest in some more coworkers, but he wants to save as much money for himself, and now it's cost him. Okay? If he maybe would have hired another person to help him out with his gym membership, maybe Joe Briggs wouldn't have snuck by his secretary and participated in the class he wasn't even vetted for. Okay, Ivan Salaverry has the balls to put a cross claim on me and say this situation is completely my fault. And his lawyer made it so I have to pay for Mr. Briggs' damages. I was served the first summons, a set of summons that described me as an agent of Ivan Salaverry. That means his insurance team is obligated to provide me with legal services. When Ivan realized he fucked up, he kicked me out of his gym so the insurance adjuster wouldn't hear the truth and pay for Ivan's losses. Because if I'm at the gym, if any investigator comes there and starts asking me questions, since I'm the guy who's pretty much the center key to all of this, I'm going to tell them the truth. Ivan can't have that. I found out who Ivan's insurance adjuster was, called her up, and told her my story. She said it was too late. I already defaulted and won't be provided any legal services. So I collected the necessary information I needed to reopen my claim, and guess what? They're reviewing my claim. They reopened the claim. That means I showed enough evidence for them to take me seriously as an agent. That agent status. I need that. And I showed them my agent status. My agent status using the Washington State Boxing MMA Commission, which is a federal and national registry for pro fighters in this country, managed by the state and federal government. So unless this insurance company is its own country, they are by law obligated to provide me with legal services. Now, if the insurance company follows the law, they'll reverse this decision and provide me with the legal money I need for my defense. If they do this, it will reveal that Ivan Salaverry lied to his insurance team about my agent status. If you're caught lying to an insurance adjuster, the punishment is severe. Let's just say Ivan will be lucky if they just close down his business. Punishment for lying to an insurance claim are heavy fines, closure of business, or even prison time. So Ivan risked his livelihood, his family, and his friends just because he didn't want to approach me as an equal and say, hey, M, I fucked up. I need you to take this bullet for me to protect my family. My lawyer says there's a way to block Joe Briggs for garnishing your wages. I'll give you $10,000, lifetime membership, and me and you are good, right? Of course, Ivan. No problem. Glad I could help you out. Thanks for being honest. That's what I would have said. But he didn't do that. He told me I had nothing to worry about to my face. And while the whole time he's blaming me for this whole incident, preparing a counterclaim against me, so everything that this young man is suing him for, I'm going to have to pay for it. Since Ivan has no waiver to protect him like a shield, he's using me instead, like I'm a non-human, like I'm some type of avatar with no feelings, like I'm some second-class citizen with no rights. I've known Ivan for 10 years. For the last 5 years, I knew he wasn't my friend. I thought he was my friend maybe the first 5 years, but once I really got to know him, I realized he's just one of them fake liberals who's those fake, white male liberals who speak Spanish, who gives them street cred, so they can hang out with black people and be cool, but they're just as racist, if not even more racist, than any white man who doesn't speak Spanish. And Ivan is not even really Hispanic. If I had to guess it, he's a Russian speaking Spanish. He doesn't hang out with any Hispanic people. All his friends are Russian. He's from Chile. Who knows who his grandfather was? He could have been a Nazi collaborator who escaped to South America with Hitler. Like, I don't know that for sure, but the way that he's acting and the whole fact that he thinks he can get away with something like this, I wouldn't be surprised if he is some grandchild of some SSS Nazi. But, anyway, that's just speculation, but he sure is acting like that. Okay, well, to get back on this topic, he didn't come to me as a man to basically ask me for my help. That's because he doesn't see me as a man. He doesn't respect me. So, Ivan is a coward. He's a scoundrel. He openly promotes discrimination at his gym, and he rewards his members with belt promotions after they literally sexually assault female gym members. Now, you have to ask yourself, why would Ivan let a 250-pound grown man wrestle a 100-pound grown woman? What is the benefit of that in a competitive Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class? Okay, there's weight classes. There's no way a 4'11", 115-pound at most little woman who looks like a girl, in my mind is a girl, she's only 25, 24 years old, she looks like a child, should be fighting a 250-pound grown man. Like, who gets the benefit out of that? The only person who gets a benefit out of that is a 250-pound grown man, especially if he's a heterosexual, because he's able to manhandle this woman and basically get away with it because of the type of class she signed up with. So you have to ask yourself, why would Ivan, promote that type of environment at his gym? Who does that benefit? Not only did Ivan not reprimand the member for pinning the young woman down and he forcefully kissed her in class in front of everybody to see, there's multiple witnesses who saw this. He rewarded this guy with his blue belt after telling him to leave and come back after he fires the girl who was sexually assaulted in his class. She was also not just a member, she worked there. Now, I don't work there because I know better not to work for Ivan, because that's how he does business. When you deal with Ivan, you make sure there's a clear division between you and him, because if you work for Ivan, he looks at you as his, and if you're a minority or if you're a woman, he looks at you as more than his. He looks at you like you are his slave. He'll take advantage of you. If you are not a white male who makes money at that gym, he does not take you seriously. He will not promote you as fast as he promotes those guys, no matter how hard you work. Think about it. I've been at his gym for 10 years. 10 years. He's been my only instructor, and I'm only a blue belt. That's one belt above a beginner. And I'm a professional mixed martial artist who's been training at his gym for 10 years. But yet, he gives a purple belt to the guy who's a dentist who comes to training, once every, 2-3 times a week, twice a week at most. He's not coming every day like I am. He's not doing MMA fights. I've had over 20 MMA fights with Ivan. and I'm a blue belt still. And I've won way more than half of those fights using the jiu-jitsu that he's taught me. Okay? So he's purposely trying to shut me down, make sure that I can't be successful in this business, and he's trying to keep me under his toe by doing that. Okay? So I'm really like a brown belt. You know, I've been training at Ivan's every day. He said it on his website as well. Okay? So if you put me against a blue belt who's really a blue belt, but I'm really a brown belt, what do you think's going to happen? So Ivan not giving me the belts that I am appropriately deserve gives people the false impression of my skill level, which can end up getting them really hurt because they're thinking I'm a blue belt when I'm really like a purple, high-level purple belt or a brown belt. Now, okay. Now, if I get my black belt, that's like a degree. And, I can start my own gym. Ivan doesn't want that. He's greedy and he's selfish. And I saw him steal a tip from a waitress at a bar we watched at a fight. Now, I'm not going to say it was Ivan because of legal reasons, but the guy looked just like Ivan. And he was sitting at Ivan Salaverry table. And I wasn't the only one there. I'm pretty sure somebody saw Ivan steal that tip from that waitress. Now, I'm not sure if it was Ivan, but it sure looked a lot like him. He was bald. He looked like Fedor Emelianenko. He had a gut. And he was sitting at Ivan's table. I'm not sure if it was him, but it sure as hell looked a lot like him. If anybody can confirm that they saw Ivan steal money from a waitress, please let me know, because I could have sworn I've seen that. Okay. Now, since I wasn't provided legal services, I failed to perform at my job because I needed time off. When management asked why I was struggling, all of a sudden I told them I'm being sued because I broke someone's neck at the martial arts studio I was at. They thought I was insane, and they fired me as soon as they heard that. I had to drop out of school. I lost my brand new apartment, and my girlfriend left after her parents found out I was being sued. Because if we were to get married, she could lose everything that she has. And they just didn't even want her to be involved in that. So he cost me a relationship too, but I'm sure he doesn't give a shit about that because the only person Ivan cares about is himself. And my fight career has been put on hiatus. I'm 35 years old. A year out of the fight game is pretty serious. It's pretty serious. That's a lot of money that I could have won. That's a lot of opportunity that I could have had that I can't ever get back. He's taken a year out of my fight career because of his blunder. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why don't I just go train at another gym? Well, if I can get sued because the owner won't or can't do his job because he's too lazy or neglectful to assess a member or a potential member at his gym and get him to sign a liability waiver so, nobody gets sued, and his neglect results in an accident I'm involved with, then he blames the accident on me because he didn't do his job? By that logic, why sign a waiver? So I'm paranoid about going to any dojo because I don't know if I can be sued like this again. Maybe if I run into another asshole trainer who doesn't take his business seriously, I can end up in the same situation. And if that's the situation, then I don't know why anybody would want to train in an MMA studio. Would you train in an MMA studio if you thought if you could actually get hurt for doing something that's legal in the gym to do? Like, I didn't do this at the club. This isn't a domestic violence issue. I didn't hurt any children. I didn't hurt any women. I didn't hurt anybody illegally. This was all sanctioned in the dojo event where stuff like this is supposed to happen. I don't fight in the streets. If I get into altercations in the street, I just run away. Talk some shit and just run away. It's not worth me getting into a fight, possibly losing everything, maybe even killing somebody or getting killed myself. So I avoid all confrontation outside the mixed martial arts studio. But when I come into the mixed martial arts studio, that's when I can unleash. It's actually a form of therapy for me. And Ivan has taken that from me. Now I'm suffering emotionally because I can't deal with the stresses in life that I'm normally able to deal with them by going to an MMA gym and punching somebody in the face legally and being able to get away with it. Now I have to wonder if the person at the gym is doing their job, and if they're not doing their job, guess what? I'm going to get sued regardless if I'm in the right or not, and that's just not fair. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And these people are trying to sue me because I even forgot to vet this guy. Like I said, it's not my responsibility to do that. Ivan never told me it was my responsibility to be vetting these guys. And I vetted him the best that I could. I asked him if he was a professional fighter. I asked him if he was training in the professional mixed martial arts class. He said yes. Ivan overheard all of that and he let him do it. Okay. So, yeah. So, I couldn't understand, like, when I would tell the lawyers this, I'm like, do you understand? Like, I'm the only one actually who was following the rules. I'm the only one who didn't deviate from any course guidelines. They're saying I'm the one who was acting recklessly. No, Ivan Salaverry and Joe Briggs were the one who were acting recklessly. I was just doing what I always been doing the last 10 years. Okay? I didn't do anything outside of the course curriculum that wasn't okayed by the course curriculum person, which is Ivan. This kid came to a class and he's never trained in submission grappling before. He thought he was a hard ass just because he's had a couple of kickboxing fights. Kickboxing has nothing to do with submission grappling wrestling. Okay? And you got dropped for it because you got overconfident. And I was underconfident because I'm thinking, wow, this guy must be really good if Ivan Salaverry is letting him train in the advanced mixed martial arts class with me, a professional, his very first day without going through any type of beginner or intermediate training. I better take this guy seriously or he might fuck me up. So that's what I was thinking when I'm going against this guy, not knowing that he's an idiot amateur. He's a fucking numbskull. He's a dumbass. He's a child. He's a man-child. He doesn't know how the world really works. When you enter a mutual combat situation, you are agreeing to fight me on a mutual combat level. Therefore, whatever happens to you is because of what you did, not because of what I did. Okay? This shouldn't even be going to court. And I told the lawyers that, but they won't listen to me. And you want to know why they won't listen to me? It's because there's a $5 to $10 million policy hanging over my head like a bounty. And everybody's willing to sacrifice my life, my comfort, my opportunities to get this $5 to $10 million. And guess what? That $5 to $10 million is actually something that I could actually get because I'm the only one in the right in this situation. But I'm the only one who's not been given a lawyer. And Ivan doesn't want me to have a lawyer because I'm going to tell the lawyer to freaking tell the truth. And whatever Ivan's guilty of, make sure you get him. Make sure you get him and have no mercy for this dude. I want him, hey, you got no mercy for me, I got no mercy for you. I'm taking your business, Ivan, and I'm going to turn it into a Starbucks. And Joe Briggs, you're not going to get any money. I'm going to take all your money because I'm going to sue you for defamation of character, lying in a court summons, and basically being neglectful your own damn self. You caused this. You're the idiot. You're the one who should be held responsible, not me. It's Ivan, you, and I have nothing to do with this. I'm just the tool that God used to give you a reality check. Okay, you've been kicked out of 3 gyms, Joe Briggs. Nobody likes you. I've been at this gym for 10 years straight. Everybody likes me up until this incident happened. So you ruined all my relationships with these people that I train with at the gym because they still think that Ivan's telling the truth. They still think this isn't Ivan's fault because Ivan is telling them what he wants them to hear. Okay? So I'm trying to tell my friends what's happening, and they're not listening to me. They're listening to Ivan, and they're not taking me seriously. And it's pissing me off. And if they continue to act like my issues aren't like real issues, that puts me at odds with them. And he's created a lot of strife and a lot of turmoil in my life due to his pure ignorance. I'm talking about Ivan and Mr. Briggs. And I deserve to be recompensated for that. Thank you.